Hey everybody, welcome to this video guide for Batman Arkham Knight on the Xbox Series X. Today we are completing the AR challenge Crime Alley while playing as Robin, and we are going to be getting 3 stars on it. Now before I get into the actual level itself, I would like to mention that this footage and the commentary for a majority of this video is actually pulled from my other video, which is an achievement guide for the Chill in the Air achievement. So check that out if you're interested in getting that achievement as well. If you do aim for that achievement, you will more than likely get 3 stars on this AR challenge as each of those characters. So it's definitely a good video to check out if you're interested. I'll of course be linking to it in the description and in the top right as a card for you to use. I will also be linking the video guide for every other character for this AR challenge. So that is all 8 characters. You can locate their guides in the description, so definitely take advantage of that if you're going through all of the characters for this AR challenge. Now that we've got all of that information out of the way, let's actually get into some tips for combat challenges themselves. These tips are actually applicable to the entirety of the game. It's not just Robin, it's not just Batman, it's not just Nightwing. These tips apply to every single character in all of the combat challenges. So have a listen, and I hope I am able to help you out. So let's talk about some tips for making sure you don't take any damage when you are completing these levels. Personally, I'd recommend that you go with the method of hitting, dodging, and hitting. So you want to get in a rhythm of hitting, evading, so you can jump over an enemy, just jump away, etc., and then hitting once again. This allows you to sort of avoid needing to counter, avoid incoming blade attacks, or any other attack that cannot be blocked or countered. So that way you're not taking unnecessary damage because you're not personally prepared to counter, press Y or whatever to try to avoid that damage. Evading is what I personally like to do, and if you do this and also consider what the enemies are armed with, so that would be a shield or a taser, things like that, you'll have a better idea of how to react in certain situations. If you ensure that you are always dodging, you can reorient yourself and prepare yourself for the next attack you will need to perform. Whether that be an attack to take down a shield enemy, a beatdown on a brute, a regular attack, or even preparing yourself for a counter. Giving yourself that extra time when evading will benefit you greatly between each attack, and allow you to avoid damage extremely easily as well. So remember, you want to get into a rhythm of hitting, dodging, and then hitting once again, and just keep that up. That is going to benefit you greatly. Of course, there are circumstances where you need to perform a special attack, like using the back claw to sort of disable the electricity surrounding an enemy, but those are exceptions to the rule and to the rhythm of hitting, dodging, and hitting. Now that we have got all of those tips out of the way, let's get started with this AR challenge. Alright, so let's get started with Robin. Just like Batman, we have 1 shield enemy and then we have 2 knife enemies to start with in this first round. It's a very easy round. So I'd recommend you just go for the knife enemy as soon as they attack you, go for that knife counter, and then go for the shield enemy. Just make sure that they have the shield down, and then you can get an easy chain like I will. It's not too much trouble if you leave the other bladed enemy and just hit it as part of the free flow combo, because they aren't too much trouble if you just continuously evade. I am going to be putting the prompts up on the screen for this very first round, just so you can see how I sort of performed all these actions and such. This is what I'm just going to be doing for the first round for every character, so that way you have an understanding of what's happening. Like I said, I'm not going to do it in every single round because that's far too much work. It is just a matter of emphasizing that evading, hitting, evading, hitting is definitely the way to go. Although I don't think I do too much evading in these early rounds just because it is much easier, but evading is always very useful. You'll see me use it in the later rounds all of the time. It saves my ass a ton. Alright, so let's get started with this first round. Alright, so right off the bat, normally the knifed enemy attacks, but for me, I just countered the enemy that was attacking me regularly. And then it is just a matter of evading and hitting, evading and hitting. I had built up my combo, so I used the special attack on the bladed enemy. Then I went ahead and I knocked down the enemy with the shield. Then I proceeded to evade and hit, evade and hit. It was very easy for me to keep it up this way because of just the lack of enemies. There aren't very many, so just keep up the evading and hitting, and that way you won't take any damage at all for sure. You'll be dodging everything. And then with that final enemy taken out, that is the first round completed. And to make sure that you are on track to unlock this achievement, always check that you got the no hit bonus at the end of every single round. Alright, let's move on to round number 2. In this round, it isn't too much harder, but we do have a bit more enemies to deal with. In this round, we've got the enemy with the taser, and then we have got the brute. Personally, I'd recommend you go for the beatdown on the brute, so that way you can build up your combo easily, and then perform a special attack if necessary to take down the brute very quickly. It takes 2 special attacks if you do not do enough damage with the beatdown, but just keep building up your combo and using these special attacks on the brute until they are taken out. And then I'd recommend you go for the taser enemy. Just make sure that nobody is holding the taser, because if you mistakenly attack the taser enemy head on, you will take damage from that shock. So just make sure that you take out the taser enemy ASAP after you have taken out the brute. And then after that, you want to take down the riot shield enemy just so they don't interrupt your free flow. And then just keep on evading and hitting, evading and hitting. You don't need to worry too much about all of the other enemies. The main ones you want to focus on would be the brute and of course the enemy with the taser. Alright, now let's get started with this round. Alright, so right off the bat, I go for the beatdown on the brute to build up my combo. Then the enemy with the taser tries to attack, so I evade and then use my special attack on the brute. Then I take down the enemy with a riot shield. Now it is out of play and I am proceeding to build up my combo. Once it's built up, I use the special attack to take down the brute, and then I am continuing on doing my best to avoid the taser and then getting it out of the enemy's hands. Now nobody has anything to block me and I just need to keep an eye on the taser and the riot shield on the ground. And I am just evading, hitting, keeping that rhythm up so that way I am not taking any damage. And then the enemy picked the taser up once again, so I am going to get it out of their hands by jumping behind them. And then I am evading, hitting, continuing on and on until all the enemies are taken out. I can use special attacks, but really it is very easy to just evade and hit, plus you get a higher combo which results in more points at the end of the day. Alright, and that is the end of the second round. Once again, always double check that you did get the no hit bonus. It gives you good points and it is required for this achievement. Now let's move on to round number 3. Alright, in this round, what we have to deal with is mainly the medic and the enemy with the gun. We do want to knock out the riot shields from the enemy's hands, but primarily we want to focus on the medic and the gun. So first off, I'd recommend you just get the medic taken out ASAP, because they can electrify enemies and you can disable that sort of electricity barrier by using the zip kick, and that will sort of disable it. You'll be able to damage them, you won't need to worry about those enemies, but just avoiding that taking place entirely would be best to just take out the medic, right? That's what's best to do. And especially if you take out the medic, you can take out all the other enemies without worrying about them getting revived. So the medic would be priority number 1, and then you want to make sure that the gun is just out of the hands of the enemies, just like the taser in the previous round. Just make sure nobody is holding onto the gun, because if you're not quick enough and you don't knock it out of their hands fast enough, you may get damaged by them from a long distance. So it's just really frustrating when a gun takes down that little bit of health and you have to restart because of it. So just make sure that you focus on the medic and the enemy with the gun, and then get rid of those riot shields, and you should have a very easy round after that. There isn't going to be anybody blocking you other than the riot shields, so the free flow can be really straightforward here. Alright, let's get started with the round. Alright, so right off the bat, I get an easy knockdown on the riot shield, then I disable the enemy with the zip kick. Then I'm going to be continuing on making my way over to the medic, and I use the special attack to take them down really easily. Then I get the enemy's guns out of their hand, and then now it is just a matter of keeping up that free flow, dodging and hitting, and making sure that nobody picks up that gun. Right now there's nobody to worry about aside from the enemies with the gun and the enemies with the riot shield. So whenever the opportunity comes, I do stun and make sure I slam down on the enemies with the riot shield, just so I can keep my free flow up really easily. Use special attacks, whatever you want, so that way the free flow is really easy. I'm doing it for points as well, so I want to make sure it is as easy as possible and as lucrative as possible, so I can get as many points for 3 stars. Alright, so now we are on our last enemy, and it was honestly a very straightforward level. When it comes to Batman and Nightwing, they deal with more brutes, so Robin has a much easier time in making sure you take no damage. So remember to check that you got the no hit bonus before you proceed to the next round, because you want to make sure you get that for the achievement. Alright, now let's get started on round 4. Alright, now let's take a look at the final round's enemies. This is going to be just like the previous round. We have 2 guns to deal with and we have 2 medics to deal with. We of course have 3 riot shield enemies, but obviously our priority is going to be the medics and the guns. So just do whatever you can to make sure that the guns are out of the enemy's hands. and prioritize the medics right away so that way they cannot electrify enemies and you won't take damage from those types of enemies. If you do, remember that you can disable the electric barrier by using the zip kick, and it should be very straightforward. So my order of sort of who you want to target would definitely be medics, then the enemies with the guns, and then you can focus on the riot shield enemies, bladed enemies, whatever, but definitely take care of those two enemies for sure, and then continue on just making sure nobody picks up any guns, and if they do, you knock them down as soon as possible. Alright, let's get started with this final round. Alright, so right off the bat, I'm going to just take down one of the riot shield enemies, then I'm going to head over to the area with the medics and take care of any of the gunned enemies, building up my combo so that way I can take down one of the medics. With this shocked enemy, I disable them really quickly, then I take out the medic with a special attack. Then I'm going to be continuing on building up my combo, watching out for any of the gunned enemies, disabling any electrified enemies, taking down any of the riot shield enemies as they come by, and then taking out that medic with the special attack once I have built up my combo enough. Now it is just a matter of making sure that I watch out for any of the riot shield enemies, making sure that nobody picks up any guns so that way I don't take any damage from a distance, and just keeping up the hitting, evading, using special attacks on the tougher enemies like the riot shield enemies so I have one less issue to worry about, and consistently evading, hitting, just doing my best to knock down all of the enemies as soon as possible. So once I have my special attack ready, I go ahead and I use it on one of the bladed enemies because they can be pretty troublesome, and just continuing the evading hitting process, just keeping that rhythm until all of the enemies have been defeated. Once all these enemies are defeated, that is the final round, and you have completed 2 out of 3 requirements for the achievement, the chill in the air. So that wasn't too crazy with Robin. Nightwing and Batman are a different story. But remember to double check that you did get the perfect night bonus, because if you did, you got 0 hits during the entirety of this AR challenge. Alright, and that is the end of this video. Of course, I put so much emphasis on making sure you didn't get damaged because remember, this was pulled from my achievement guide for the chill in the air. So no matter what, as long as you're doing your best to avoid any damage, you'll get bonuses for no hits, and you will get the perfect night bonus. So you will get a ton of points if you avoid getting hit and you use the tactics that I used throughout this video. So all of my tips are applicable for both the achievement and getting 3 stars, but just remember that my emphasis on making sure you did not get damaged was purely because it was for the achievement, the chill in the air. Alright, and with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. Please stick around and subscribe to my channel for more content like this one. Please drop a comment and let me know if I was able to help you out and you would like me to make some video guides for other challenge levels. I love this game, would definitely love to do any other levels except for the challenge levels that require any Batmobiles. No thanks, I'll skip those ones for sure. Anyways, thank you again for watching this video and I will see you in the next one. Take care everybody.